Panama, a small country at the heart of Central America, is one of the world's greatest geopolitical levers. Why, you may ask? Because it controls one of the most strategic maritime routes on the planet. A small piece of land that, in 1914, inaugurated the Panama Canal, an engineering marvel that connects the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. This 80-kilometer-long canal is now the required passage for thousands of ships each year. But what you may not know is that its history is marked by conflicts, alliances, and rivalries between superpowers, and this is far from over. Before the existence of the canal, ships had to navigate around South America to reach their destinations, a long and dangerous journey. But thanks to the canal, the game changed. It offers a much faster and safer alternative, significantly reducing transport time between the oceans, revolutionizing global trade. But be warned, this is not just another route for ships. It's a true global commercial crossroads, and its possession is a major strategic stake. This hasn't escaped the attention of the world's great powers, especially the United States, which saw in this small country a valuable asset, far more precious than its land. In 1989, the situation took a dramatic turn. The United States invaded Panama in an operation called Just Cause, justifying their intervention as a means to protect their citizens and combat drug trafficking. However, observers quickly realized that behind these excuses lay a much larger goal: to maintain strategic control over the canal. While this intervention allowed for the removal of Panama's president at the time, Manuel Noriega, the history between the United States and Panama goes back much further. Let's go back to 1903, when Panama was still part of Colombia. Taking advantage of Colombia's civil war, Panama declared its independence with the help of the United States. In exchange, the Americans gained the exclusive right to build and control the canal, without Panama being involved in the negotiations. As you can imagine, this left scars, as the construction of the canal cost many lives due to extreme working conditions and epidemics that struck the workers. However, this U.S. dominance over the canal would not last forever. In 1977, a treaty was signed to transfer control of the canal to Panama, a process completed in 1999. Panama then took over, reorganizing and modernizing the infrastructure, and even expanding the canal in 2016 to allow much larger ships to pass through. A true step forward in the modernization of the country. But here is where the story becomes fascinating. The emergence of a new global power, China, began to shake things up. Shortly after Panama took control of the canal, China started to pay more attention to this key region. Gradually, China increased its investments and signed trade agreements. The result? Panama saw the rise of impressive new infrastructure projects, funded and carried out by Chinese companies. The Chinese quickly understood that the Panama Canal was not just a shortcut for ships, but a crucial pivot in their global trade strategy. As one of the world's largest exporters, China heavily depends on maritime trade. To secure its trade routes, it needed direct or indirect control over strategic infrastructures. The Panama Canal thus became an indispensable asset. Take the case of the two ports controlled by China, Balboa and Cristobal. These ports, located at the intersection of the Pacific and Atlantic, are essential for global trade. But that's not all. China has also financed major projects like the construction of a fourth bridge over the canal and a cruise port in the Panamanian capital. Giant projects such as the Atlantic Bridge, inaugurated in 2019, show how much China is investing in the country to strengthen its influence. However, this new era of Chinese dominance has not gone unnoticed by the United States, far from it. The strategic role of the Panama Canal is too important for the Americans to leave it in the hands of a foreign power. Tensions have risen, and former President Donald Trump, during a 2023 conference, clearly expressed his displeasure. According to him, giving up the canal to Panama was a great historical mistake, emphasizing that the United States needed the canal for both economic and security reasons. But this speech goes even further. Trump did not hesitate to mention the military option to retrieve the canal, a statement that made waves worldwide. "We cannot afford to lose this canal. It may even require the use of military force," he said. These words were not just a warning to foreign powers, but also a message to the international community. Control of the Panama Canal is too vital to the security and economy of the United States. However, this aggressive stance risks backfiring against the United States. Indeed, Panama, which had already distanced itself from the United States, may be led to get even closer to China. By withdrawing from major infrastructure projects in Panama, the United States is losing influence, and China is taking advantage of this to consolidate its position. Panama, on the other hand, wants to play a mediator role and does not want to find itself in either camp. Thus, the question of Panama's sovereignty arises. Can it maintain its independence while balancing the interests of these two economic giants? It seems that Panama wants above all to play a strategic role without being manipulated by superpowers. But in this global geopolitical game, every move counts, and every decision can have unpredictable consequences. So what will happen in the coming years? Will Panama manage to remain a key player in global trade without sacrificing its sovereignty? In geopolitics, there is no place for neutrality, but who knows, perhaps Panama will succeed in defying expectations.